Dragon Age Inquisition was rated M for mature by the ESRB and contains blood, intense violence, nudity, sexual content, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, my name is Amaronith and I play games for the internet, and today we're playing Dragon Age Inquisition. We have gone through quite the ordeal and obtained the help of the mages, with also a fair bit of, what the hell? But it is now time for a Codex Entry reading. So we're going to begin with characters. No. Dorian Pavus. Only child and heir presumptive to the senatorial seat of Magister Hallward Pavus, Dorian comes from a prestigious line of mages, prominent in the coastal Tevinter city of Canaris since the late Exalted Age. At that time, the Imperium was recovering from a failed Exalted March and the Fourth Blight. Gereon Pavus arose as a voice of reason within the Magisterium. His bloc of allies convinced the Imperium not to descend upon the weakened South, to extend a hand of reconciliation to those who had once sought their destruction. That House Pavus remained standing even after Magister Gereon was tried for treason is a testament to the power he built, and, as Dorian himself would claim, an excellent example of how internecine politics in Tevinter can bring low even the brightest star. A lesson, he says, one should never forget. Hero of Ferelden. The hero of Ferelden once belonged to a clan of Dalish elves. An encounter with a tainted magical mirror corrupted the hero. Only the Grey Wardens held the cure. To save the hero's life, the clan gave her up to Grey Warden Commander Duncan and the Order. After defeating the Archdemon and ending the Fifth Blight, the hero of Ferelden took up the mantle of Warden Commander. She began the task of rebuilding the Order in Ferelden, serving with honor until her disappearance several years later. Her current whereabouts are unknown. Magister Gereon Alexius. Lords and ladies of the Magisterium, before we vote on the budget for this latest measure against the Canary, I would ask that we take a moment to consider the state of our institutions of higher learning. The Circle of Magi is more than 10,000 years old. Dorian the Dreamer himself was born within those walls. It continues to be a source of wisdom and guidance for the best and brightest of the Imperium's youth, yet it falls into disrepair. Magister Aurarius has made her case several times for increased funding to the circles, and as yet her appeals have gone unanswered. Magister Viren has spoken at length on the threat of the Oxmen in the north, a tide of brutality that we alone hold back. Let me add this. How shall we defeat the Canary? How have we held back their advance all these long years without support from the other nations of Thedas? You know the answer. Magic. It is our magic that holds the beasts at bay, and through the ingenuity of our magic we will drive them from our shores forever. My friends and colleagues, this is the battle we prepare our apprentices, sons and daughters to face. They need the resources to discover new magic, new techniques that can lend us an advantage in this endless war. They cannot do this while roofs crumble over their heads. Repair the circles, let the Imperium's future be more than slow decline to the marching steps of legions. An address by Magister Alexius to the Magisterium, taken from the official minutes in 939 Dragon. Queen Anora Mac Tir. Previously wife to King Caelan, descendant of Calenhad and last of the Theron bloodline to rule Ferelden, Queen Anora came into her own during the Fifth Blight. With the throne left vacant following her husband's death, she was confirmed as sole ruler with the support of the hero of Ferelden, and this confirmation allowed her to rally her nation behind the Grey Wardens and the battle that ultimately ended the war with the Darkspawn before it ever truly began. Since that time, concerns linger that Queen Anora has still not produced an heir, concerns that she has thus far successfully dismissed. The people believe her rule wise and well-reasoned, and they will fully support her decision to give the rebel mages safe harbor in Redcliffe following an impassioned speech she delivered in Denerim 6 months ago, when the rebel mages took over both town and castle, forcing Arl Tegan to flee for the capital. Her support among the nobility dwindled rapidly. What this will mean for her rule in the coming years, particularly with renewed interest from neighboring Orlais, remains to be seen. Creatures. A Horsemaster's notes on mounts. Never seen a proud rider atop a regal mount? That's your failing. Such animals are common enough, but there are costs, so you keep them away from chance of blight, theft, attack, all the nonsense that makes for poor stabling. These aren't working beasts with the fire bred out of their eyes so they can suffer a plow. These creatures are about spirit. A proper mount isn't some noble's plaything on a hunt. It's your everyday, and you'd better match it to deserve it. On horses. You've never had a mount like the Ferelden Forder, a hardy warm blood. Don't let the size fool you. They're not meant for the farm. Centuries of careful breeding have taken common stock and produced a glory, a creature as much at home in a charge as they are in a march across nations. But for all the stamina and speed they place at your command, press too far and you'll be picking dirt from your teeth. They know their role and expect that you know yours. Warning and promise and all that. On the flames of the Inquisition armored charger. Never in all my days did I think I would handle such barding, never mind the quality of the breed. A true purebred lineage clad in the hallmarks of a master. The combination is one of a kind, and this animal knows it. Mountain rider meant for greatness. Don't disappoint. The bar has been set very, very high. On the Red Heart. Honored to see one of these up close without meeting it points first. The pride of the stable, of any stable. Even the Dalish, I have had occasion to ask, have said it's rare to see glimpse of them at a distance. The few who have mastered one, and it is truly very few, say that there is no animal more sure of foot, more attuned to its rider, more inspirational to simply gaze upon. You want to match the majesty of this creature? Grow some bloody wings. On the Bog Unicorn. Still not sure what you unearthed. Talked to a mage about it and got a typical head in the fade response. Got a better answer from that tranquil of yours, and it still chilled my short hairs. Plain speak, there's a spirit of some kind in there. Now, a horse to me means freedom, but I understand that sometimes it's a demon? The wrong side of what it should be. What's the wrong side of freedom? Chaos or just unending? Something like that. Whatever is in there, this animal was best of breed, an Orlesian charger, fit for any chevalier, and well tended in life. By its wounds, I'd wager it fell in battle with demons of some ilk and was finished by its master's mercy. Whatever spirit of loyalty or freedom or whatever makes horses run brought the strange thing back. It wants to serve. I've no doubt it will ride well, and I'll stable it, but I'm not going near it. Groups. The Carta. The casteless dwarves of Orzammar have few prospects. Consigned to live in a crumbling ruin on the social and economic fringes of the mighty dwarven capital, most resort to begging, prostitution, or crime. Just as all rivers eventually join the sea, all casteless who turn to crime eventually become part of the Carta. The hero of Ferelden decimated the ranks of this ancient gang while rallying the dwarves to join the battle against the archdemon or Themiel. Unable to recover the power they once had in Orzammar, they turned their attention topside, using groups of surface-dwelling dwarves to smuggle weapons, lyrium, surface luxuries, people, and other goods between Orzammar and human lands. Despite the flow of business, its members are still desperate and violent. With no strong leader to rein in their excesses, they have little sense of dwarven honor, and freely break their word, double-cross allies, and renege on deals. The Circle of Magi. The Circle of Magi was established centuries ago to protect us and to protect those without magic from the things we might do. No man in his right mind would disagree that these are noble goals. I refuse to believe that the Chantry intended the injustice and oppression we suffered in the intervening years. Segregation of mages from non-mages within Templar-guarded compounds was the best, possibly the only, option available. We have recently had to face the stark reality that the system failed us. The Circle of Magi in Ferelden's Kinloch Hold was one of the most liberally run, and even there we saw sedition and dissent, resulting in a failed revolt that nearly destroyed the entire tower. Perhaps stringency could work where leniency failed. I would present Kirkwall's gallows as evidence against such thinking. Knight Commander Meredith's vice grip on the Circle in her care backfired, leaving us where we are now. If the Circles, no matter how they are managed, do not, perhaps cannot, function as intended, what is next? There are no easy answers. The events of recent years have forced me to re-examine my views on freedom. As Equitarians, we have always advocated self-control and cooperation with the Chantry, but this approach may no longer serve. I must consider that our libertarian brothers and sisters had the right of it all along. Look at the strife and chaos that now consumes our world. Fighting for independence, for a better system, may not improve our situation, but it cannot make it any worse. Letter from Senior Enchanter Vorman Keen of Cumberland to a colleague, dated 939 Dragon. The Venatori. I know what you have been telling the others. You mouth the word cult and repeat lies the Chantry has been spewing at us for 1,000 years. Look around you, my friend. See what mighty Tevinter is today, a once proud nation brought low, barely able to hold itself against the Oxmen. We neutered our mages at the behest of a foreign religion, exalted their false maker, and became the laughing stock of all Thedas. Now we have the chance to reclaim what is rightly ours, but only if we act. We cannot wait to see which way the wind is blowing. We must make it blow. The Venatori are hunters, recruited in secret over several years. We will descend with deadly purpose to spill the blood of the South and make it ripe for conquest. When we return to our homeland, it will be as victors, with a new god as our patron. Then the cowards who refuse to aid us will know their mistake in full. Reported as evidence to the Verantium Circle of Magi, Dragon 940. History. In hushed whispers, those who had been cast down, the demons who would be gods, began to whisper to men from their tombs within the earth, and the men of Tevinter heard and raised altars to the pretender gods once more, and in return were given in hushed whispers the secrets of darkest magic. Canticle of Threnades 5:11. The 5th stanza of Threnodies is a complete retelling of the creation story appearing in stanza 1. The authors are clearly different, with notable disagreements on the nature of spirits and the ultimate cause of the second sin. This stanza lays the blame for mankind's corruption squarely on the old gods, rather than on a flaw inherent to human nature. Therefore, historians believe a Tevinter author, perhaps even Archon Hissarion himself, wrote it. In the 11th verse, we see this illustrated most clearly. The demons who would be gods can be no one but the old gods. They are credited here not only with broaching the Golden City, but with gifting the secrets of magic to humankind. The implication is that without this instruction, these hushed whispers, no magic would exist. From the Chant of Light, Literary Analysis and History by Sister Tessaria. Okay, but no, that's not what it says. It says the secrets of darkest magic, not magic itself. Like, okay, I want to argue, Sister Caesarea. It is the Jew in me. One who would read the Torah and literally argue with God, because that is what we do. Magic. Oculara. A skull set upon a staff, these macabre artifacts cause magical shards in the area to glow with magical radiance when a viewer looks through the eyes of the skull. Alexius was quite clear in his orders. We must scour the countryside to find more of the shards. Without them, the Venatori cannot claim the treasure our master seeks. For that we need the Oculara. Without them, the shards are nearly impossible to find, even if they are no longer cloaked by whatever magic hid them for all these centuries. There must be more tranquil in the area. The rebels abandoned most of them when they fled their circles. Remember, the skull will only attune properly if the tranquil is in close proximity to one of the shards when the demon is forced to possess him. Even then, the blow must be delivered immediately. The Oculara produced from the tranquil, killed even minutes later, failed to illuminate the shards when used. I trust you to continue your efforts in this matter. Our master expects success. A letter found in an abandoned house in Redcliffe village. Places. Fort Connor. Fort Connor was constructed by a young Arl Eamon after the Orlesians were driven from Ferelden. It was named in honor of Eamon's father, who died at the Battle of Westhill, and after whom the Arl named his son. Eamon was determined for Redcliffe to stand as a shining example of Ferelden strength. He constructed Fort Connor to watch the King's Highway and protect the hinterlands against all enemies. It proved its fortitude against Darkspawn during the Fifth Blight, suffering damage only when the Darkspawn deployed emissaries. Eamon said proudly at the time that Fort Connor was unbreakable by anything short of magic, and for that, thank the Maker, we have Templars. Excerpt from Living Redcliffe by Sister Dorcas Gereon. If I had already read this, it's not in my notes, so I figured I'd read it again. Redcliffe. King Calenhad Theron once famously declared, "The fate of Redcliffe is the fate of all Ferelden." Certainly the castle is the first and last defense, and for the sole land route into Ferelden, and the country has never fallen to any force that did not first capture Redcliffe. The castle, which despite being 3 times captured, is properly described as unassailable, also guards one of the last and most prosperous towns in Ferelden. Redcliffe village is well situated near the mountain pass to Orzammar and the Orlesian border, and so serves as a center of foreign trade. For these reasons, Redcliffe is accounted an Arling, despite the smallness of the domain. The inhabitants of Redcliffe village are primarily fishermen or merchants who ship dwarven goods through the pass from Orlais to Denerim. When the entire village smells of smoked fish on certain late autumn mornings, the merchants in their finery do their utmost to pretend otherwise. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. The events of the Ferelden Civil War left Redcliffe in tatters. Its reconstruction has been a slow process, but the city has made a remarkable recovery after its ordeal at the hands of young Lord Conor Guerin. After the Battle of Denerim, Arl Eamon gave the Arling over to his younger brother in order to devote his full attention to advising the throne. He left the new Arl Tegan with the monumental task of rebuilding the town, and perhaps the even greater challenge of dealing with the influx of mages into the area following the breaking of the circles. From The Changing Face of Thedas by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. Tales. Empress of Fire. Empress of Fire, in the reign of the Lion, eclipsed in the eye of the empire of we Orlesians. Empress of Fire, what season may come, we fight for the day you'll restore our heart and bring us to glory. We are forever in your graces. Empress of Fire, save us, everyone. The nation reviles, the course is but run, and the end has begun. Empress of Fire, believe in us all, embrace us with arms and dress us with swords, and light up our hearts with blood so bold. We are forever in your graces. Empress of Fire, in the reign of the Lion, eclipsed in the eye of the empire of we Orlesians. Empress of Fire, what season may come, we fight for the day you'll restore our heart and bring us to glory. As performed by the bard Meriden Halewell. A Season of the Four Afoul. At this window, the thief Treadwell did witness the attempted assault of Lady Castine. He surrendered his chance for escape to catch and hold her assailant, a bard of Lord Halevine. Hero, thief, foiled bard, and conspiring noble were all censured as per their station and relevant action. Lashings and labor, disappeared, and ostracized for the social season, respectively. The scandal played out far longer in the theatrically serialized adaptation, which reimagined the three as siblings separated at birth, competing for Lady Castine's hand at her orchestration. The conclusion was relatively accurate to the original event, save for the punishment of the thief and noble being swapped to comic effect. Generally good reviews received, though some thought the height of the lady's hair to be unrealistic. Excerpted and torn from A Disposable Walking Tour of the Capital by Philium, a bard. Hero in Every Port. Ballad of Nuggins. Oh, the best of us ran when the dreadnought was sighted. Nuggins, Nuggins, for he heard the call. Tripped 9 Canary, and that's why he's knighted. Nuggins, Nuggins, as brave as he's small. Oh! A shore full of pirates, the worst set to happen. Nuggins, Nuggins, his heart pure and true. Tripped him an admiral, now he's our captain. Nuggins, Nuggins, for me and for you. Oh, the blight was upon us, and we found no pardon. Nuggins, Nuggins, now he'll make a stand. tripped up the darkspawn, now he's a warden. Nuggins, Nuggins, we're all in the land. Oh, paraded through Kirkwall as hero and winner, Nuggins, Nuggins, stubborn and vicious, tripped up a viscount and now he's for dinner. Nuggins, Nuggins, of course he's delicious. From Small Legends of Nugs and Foxes, collected by Filium, a bard. Seers and the Allsmet. 23rd of Ferventus. When I set out for the capital of Ravane, I did not anticipate arriving in the middle of a little provincial festival. The streets are thick with fishermen and farmers coming in from the countryside for some gathering. Rural life apparently breeds fierce rivalries. I've seen more than one fistfight erupt in the square outside the inn. And do they call this music? Excellent wine, however. Must be in Teethen. 24th of Ferventus. The agreement is sealed. The merchant had more jewelry on his head than Orlesian women do on their fingers, but anyone willing to sell me silk at this price may dress how they please. Sabol, whose title is Anain, is an amenable sort who offered to show me Allsmet tonight. Apparently the village leaders, hedge mages they dub Seers, travel to Dairsmuid twice a year to meet in council, forge trade agreements, and publicly pledge loyalty to Ravane's queen. Deals made at Allsmet are seen as especially auspicious. Sabol warned me that sometimes hotheads will attempt to settle old feuds before these seers decree binding judgments here. But there are also feasts, lavish gift-giving ceremonies, musical contests, and other rustic nonsense. This explains the rabble. Still, it might be amusing to sample the local color. I've just witnessed a loudly public exchange between two men trying to outdo each other with ridiculous boasts in the square. The most extravagant liar was applauded and decorated with wreaths by the crowd. The Ravani are lively, I'll grant them that, and not at all afraid to drink with the Tevinter. Ha! Peasant oat threatened me after I tripped into him at the feast. Bit of fire cowed him. Impressed ladies, too. What enlightened attitudes. These people have fantasasis lovely dancers here. Fantasasis. I think he's a little drunk. Lovely dancers here. Must get vintage from Inkeep. Label was blue. 26th of Ferventus. Find out who's sleeping on top of me. Bring more robes next year. From Diary of Bescorus of Verentium, 932 Dragon. Sounds like he had a fun time. The Annulment at Dairsmuid. When we heard of the injustices against our fellow mages at the White Spire, the Circle of Magi in Valroyo, I feared what was to come. Our circle at Dairsmuid is small and isolated. It exists largely as a facade to appease the Chantry. When the other circles rose up, the Chantry sent seekers across the bay from Islay to investigate. They found us mixing freely with our families, training female mages in the traditions of the Seers, and denounced us as apostates. Perhaps they thought we were spineless rogues who could be intimidated with a little bloodshed. Before I was first enchanter, I was the daughter of Captain Rivaud of the Felicissima Armada. I know how to plan a battle. They brought with them a small army of Templars. We fought, and we might have won, but they invoked the right of annulment, with all the unrelenting brutality that allowed. It is their right to put screaming apprentices to the sword, burn our tainted libraries, crush irreplaceable artifacts under their heels, tear down the very walls of our home. No mage has the right to disagree. We of the Dairsmuid Circle wait now, behind barricades. I have sent word to our brother and sister mages of this outrage. When they break through, we will not die alone. Final journal entry of First Enchanter Rivella, slain in Dairsmuid, 940 Dragon. The Crows and Queen Madrigal. The first crow refused to speak, even when we put hot coals to the soles of his feet and peeled the skin off his face and hands with a paring knife. He opted instead to chew through his own tongue and choke to death on the blood. The second captive repeated what we already knew. Queen Madrigal went on a hunt and did not appear for the evening's festivities. Her body was later found with 4 steel swords through the chest. I asked what he knew about one of the 4 swords being a replica of Hissarion's Sword of Mercy. He had not heard about that, or at least claimed as much. He later died on the rack, smiling slightly. The third crow must have realized he would not leave the dungeon alive. He seemed to hope that by angering Master Fiore he would earn himself a quick death. The crow tried our patience with pithy comments while Master Fiore was trying to work. At one point he made a remark about Fiore's mother, which I shall not repeat here. I will admit to feeling admiration for his ability to retain a capacity for coherent speech, even some wit, while under extreme duress. Amid all his useless chatter, this third crow did raise an important point. His guild had a reputation to uphold. They are ruthless, efficient, and discreet. How would they maintain such notoriety if agents routinely revealed the names of employers with something as banal as torture? This gave me pause. I called for a halt to the session. After some thought, I stabbed the man through the heart and set the 4th and 5th crow captives free. If there is a confession to be extracted, it will not be done with pain. I recommend we abandon this course of action. A report by Captain Aristide, tasked with investigating the assassination of Queen Madrigal of Antiva. The troubles of a Chantry scholar. As students of culture, it is important to always recognize your biases. I wear my Chantry perspective openly, for if my readers do not understand the lens through which I view the world, they cannot account for how these biases may color my writing. Gathering accurate information is challenging in a place as vast and fragmented as Thedas. One man may go on at length about lurid dealings with a king, then refuse to provide his name or some proof of the account. Other sources may conflict wildly. Fixing travel to some of the more remote areas of the continent is nothing compared to the difficulty I've had finding contacts I can trust. I cannot tell you how many times reputable people have tried to deceive me, sometimes for personal notoriety, more often in the interest of a pet cause. Trustworthy Kunari, Dalish, and Tevinter contacts are especially scarce, and I prize those I have kept friendly. Often it is I who must earn their trust. Texts, too, can be unreliable. From extensive readings, I have determined that Andraste was a Ferelden or Legion who was born in every town from here to Hosberg. What little remains of elven history has been told and retold, shifted and skewed until the tales are unrecognizable. I have particular respect for the dwarves, for there is no other people so obsessed with recording an accurate and complete history. If only the Shapers were as open as the skies they fear. If I can be honest, the long reign of the Chantry has made the recording of reality at times a trial. Most common histories have been rewritten through the filter of my religion. Everything has meaning as it pertains to the Maker, and while this is unavoidable, it sometimes leads to conflicts between what is officially taught by the Chantry and what I have seen with my own eyes. While my belief in the Maker is absolute, only a fool would ignore the lessons to be learned from other societies and religions. Take the Fade. Was it the kingdom of the Maker, as common knowledge dictates, or the realm of the Tevinter old gods? Few people would contest its existence, but beyond that there is little agreement among scholars. Though there are many who would disagree with me, I have come to believe nothing is for certain. I've met too many people and encountered too many perspectives not to keep an open mind about these things. Excerpt from a lecture by Brother Genetivi at the University of Orlais, delivered shortly after the release of his seminal work, In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar. And that's it. Well, I expected that to go on for longer than it did. However, I will see you all next time when we probably get more Codex entries. Until then, take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.